Hello and welcome back to our video tutorial series in using Microsoft Project. This is video tutorial 7, our final tutorial in the series, and in this tutorial we will be finalizing our previously created Gantt, and then we will be printing the reports, the ones that will be required for use in our final project assignment. And then as always we will save their file as both Microsoft project files and PDFs, and we'll upload PDFs for review. So as in previous lessons, I've gone ahead and visited the remote desktop site where we have our project folder, PPM 615, and I'm going to open up the Microsoft project version of the last file that we worked on, where we took a previously created Gantt and we added the resource sheet. So this is our Gantt with resource sheet, and here's the resources that we added last time. I'm going to change my view to Gantt chart, and this gives us a look at everything that we have so far. So starting on the left, column task mode just indicates that these are all auto-scheduled, which is what we want, our task names. And then we added this work column previously. Remember, this is effort. This is the actual amount of time that each assignment or task will take. Duration will be calculated automatically by the software once we create our relationships with predecessors and resources. Same is true for the start and finish date. So really these three columns we won't be manipulating at all. The software will do the calculation for us. So we're going to add arbitrary numbers in here just so that we get a feel for how to enter this data. Now in the final project assignment you're going to actually think about the activities and provide an estimate of what you think the actual effort will be required. There won't be any wrong answers to that, but it's just be sort of your best guess. But right now we're going to use arbitrary hours. In the initiation phase, we're going to assign 4 hours for each of the work packages. I'm going to try to keep this simple here. In the planning phase, we're going to assign 4 hours to each of the work packages as well. Again, these are just arbitrary for illustrative purposes. And then we get down into the execution phase. You can see we're assigning hours as well. And again, these are all going to be different based on the activity itself, but for purposes of this learning exercise, we're just going to keep it simple. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll move on to our next column. So here we have completed all the effort assignments for all of the activities that will be required. Right now we're leaving duration alone, start and finish alone, as I said before. We'll start next proceeding to the predecessor column. So this is where we establish relationships between activities, and we will utilize the number line over here all the way on the left to indicate which line precedes the next. So starting with the first work package itself, there's no activity above that, so that will not have a predecessor, but going forward we will assign predecessor. So we're going to say that activity 4 can't start until activity 3 starts, and then work package or activity 3 can't start until work package 2, which is line 4, and work package 4 doesn't start until line 6 or work package 3 finishes. So I'll put a 6 in there. So you see over on the right, you're starting to see this waterfall effect. It's where the name waterfall methodology comes from. As these work packages or activities are all finished to start relationships, and meaning that one doesn't start until the one preceding it is finished. So let's go ahead and continue with this. For now, we're just going to do nothing can proceed until the activity above it is finished. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think that you get the idea here, and don't need to see me do all of these, but I'm going to finish this up and then come back and we'll see where we're at. Okay, I've gone ahead and assigned predecessors to all of my work packages, and uh, just a reminder, we only create relationships between other work packages or tasks. We never assign a predecessor relationship to a sublevel or a main level. Just to show you, if you were to do so, you would get a message, error message like this. So that was trying to assign a relationship to a main task or trying to assign it to a subtask. So it does have a little bit of prevention in there, but we only assign relationships between work packages. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to proceed to the next column and actually assign resources. And again, this is arbitrary in the sense that this is just an example. And these will be resources that in your final project assignment you will feel that actually will be used for that particular work package. So in work package 1, we're going to see what we have for resources here. And let's just select the project manager to start on this one. And then in work package 2, let's split the time between project manager and one of the techs. Work package 3, a lot of the initiation work would typically done by the project manager. So we'll continue on and assign the project manager for the remainder of the work packages in the initiation phase. Now moving down to the planning phase. Work package 7, we're going to assume that again the project manager, and they're going to want some input from some of their team members on this one. So we'll do that, and then continuing down work package 8, we'll have the same team. Remember, we're in the planning phase now, so more team members are getting involved. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the planning phase with putting all 3 team members in each resource cell. Okay, I utilized all three of the resources for all of the work packages in the planning phase, except for sublevel 5, and we're going to do something interesting here. In the planning phase, sometimes we'll be ordering our materials. So here we're going to utilize computer, be ordered by the project manager, and in the next work package 16, the furniture will also be ordered by the project manager. So that's the one exception in the planning phase. Sometimes ordering different materials are in the execution phase. It doesn't really matter where you put it. So for this exercise, we're going to put ordering of the materials in the planning phase. So now we're going to move on to the execution phase, and this is where a lot of the work will take place. And typically here we're going to have mostly our team members doing a lot of the execution work. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in all but the last sublevel here, just utilizing the two texts, and then when I resume the video, that'll be all complete. Okay, so I've now added my team members as resources for all the work packages in the execution phase, except for the last one where, if you recall earlier, we had put computer ordering and furniture ordering in our planning phase. So we're now going to wait for these items to come in. So in order to do this, we're going to put a relationship that these things come in subsequent to being ordered. So I have to go back and tie work package 35 to when the computer was ordered back up in the planning phase, and let's see what line that was. That was work package 15 that I'm highlighting here. That's when the computer was ordered. So let's go ahead and tie computer lead time to the ordering of the computer. So again, computer ordering was done way back up here in line 25. So let's tie those two together, and let's make the predecessor for computer ordering be 25, and the predecessor for furniture is now 26. So those two are tied together, and if we look out here on our timeline, we can see the relationship. All right, so now we have to determine is there a lag for this material to come in, and indeed there is. So this is one of the few times where we're actually going to overwrite the duration cell because we put 0 hours of effort or work. That creates what we've learned earlier is called a milestone. But there is a duration here because that computer is not going to come in for 40 days. So we're going to overwrite in the duration columns. Again, one of the few times that we'll overwrite in the duration column. And that'll be 40 days for the computer and 60 days for the furniture to come in. Okay, so now we have to decide, are any of these work packages in our execution phase dependent upon the computer and furniture being there? And we're going to say yes, and we would use a logical determination in our final project assignment, but for here we're going to arbitrarily select that nothing nothing lower than sublevel 6 can be started until the computer and furniture has arrived. So we need to add a relationship so that lines 44 and 45 and then everything below it won't be able to start until that computer and furniture has arrived. So let's look at the dates. The computer is scheduled to arrive on the 18th. So we're going to now tie line 56 and line 44 together. So we're going to put, we can leave 42 as a predecessor, but we're also going to add 56. And you can see now that work package 27 does not start until October 19th, which is the day after the computer has arrived. So let's tie the furniture to the work package under sublevel 6, which is work package 28. So we don't want our work to be able to start here until the furniture has arrived. So let's see, that would be our furniture arrives. That's line 57. So we're going to tie 57 to line 45. So let's click on 57 here. And now you can see work package 28 doesn't start until the furniture arrives. So the furniture arrived on Thursday, November 16th, and work package 28 doesn't start until Friday, November 17th. So that's a way to make sure that materials and work are coordinated throughout the schedule. Now, another observation, some of you may have noticed this already. Even though we put 4 hours of work in for all of our work packages, we can see that it has somehow become dependent on the number of resources that we've added. And the software allows you to do one of two things: either have the effort drive the duration, or we can have the number of resources drive the effort and duration. So let me show you an example of this. Here we had one resource working 4 hours, and our duration remained 1 day. Here we had two resources assigned. Our original effort that we put in was 4 hours, but because we assigned two resources, we can see that software assumed that we wanted both resources to be working 4 hours, and there's a way to actually change this. So we can say, no, we only wanted 4 hours. So let's overwrite that to say 4. And this little caution sign here is where we can make the decision. Do we want the duration to change, or do we want it to keep the same? So when we click down on this caution sign, it says you decrease the amount of work for this task. Do you want to decrease the duration but keep the hours, resources, work per day the same? Or do you want to decrease the hour resources, which we just did, but keep the duration the same? And for this exercise, we're going to select decrease the hour, resources, work per day, but keep the duration the same. By clicking on that, you can see that they're going to spend a total of 4 hours on this work package. and it will be 1 day in duration. So they may have other things that they're doing that day. So wherever there's multiple resources, uh, you can make that decision. You can see down here where we had 3 resources assigned for 4 hours worth of work. It is now telling us that's going to take 12 hours, but as we said, we want 4, and so we're going to decrease the hour resources. And again, that'll all be contained in 1 day. Now, another way to do this would have just been to add the resources first and then go back and add the hours, and that would have allowed us to keep the effort the same. So if we want to keep our duration as 1 day for each of these, we're going to have to go through and change all of these back to 4 and then make the selection to decrease the hour resources. And that'll allow us, otherwise we'll have fractional days. As you can see here, just changing this 12 hours to 4 ends up with a fractional day. But for purposes of this project, we want to keep everything at 1 day. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change all of those, and then we'll resume. Okay, so a couple things now. We should see that all of our work packages now have a effort of 4 hours and a duration of 1 day. So we've been consistent throughout this project again, just to get the skills down. We're keeping it simple. The only exception here is, of course, for our materials, computer and furniture, we have 0 hours. This is a milestone, and we manually entered 40 days and 60 days. This is the lead time. This is how long it takes to come in. So everything else has an effort of 4 hours and a duration of 1 day. Now, if you'll notice that each sub-level has the total hours of work package hours underneath it, and each main level has the sum of all the sub-levels. So here in the initiation phase, we see that there's 24 hours of work, which is 8 hours under sub-level 1, 8 hours under sub-level 2, and 8 hours under sub-level 3, and so on. What we'd like to do is to create a summary task, and that's easy enough to do simply by highlighting line 1 and going over here. Remember, we're in the task tab, so make sure over here on the left you see the task tab, and then click on this summary. So this is going to insert a summary task, and watch what happens. This is actually only inserted the summary task for our first main level, which is not what we want. So we're going to undo that, and we're going to highlight all of our rows. So let's go ahead and highlight everything right down to the very end. And now when we insert a summary task, that summary task is for the entire project, and now we can see at a glance that our total effort is 184 hours, our total duration is 88 days, our start date has always been August 1st, and our end date is November 30th. So this is a good quick view of the project summary. So let's double click on this and change the name to this is what we've been calling this. So this is just a WBS to Gantt example project. So that again is our summary task. Now, some of you may have noticed that I neglected to do the numbering scheme. So a lot of things going on here, a lot of information, and I do sometimes get ahead of myself. So we want the outlining of all of our numbers, of all of our items here. So in order to do that, you can scout around for it. The easiest thing is this search bar up here. So let's take a crack at using this search bar. And I have used it before, but if you type in outline number, it'll go ahead and automatically outline everything for you. So now we have the proper sequencing. You see that because the summary task is labeled as 1, everything underneath it's going to start with a 1. So our main level is now 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on. But we're getting close, so let's see what we're going to do next. So we have the left side of our Gantt in good shape at this point. As you can see, let's just take a look at one of our lines of work packages. So this gives us the work package itself. So that would be the activity, whatever it might be. We've used the generic name work package, but that could be anything from laying cable to creating a document or any type of work activity. So it gives us the task name, the effort that will be required, the duration, and the start and finish dates, and then the predecessor and the resource name. So we've done a good job of getting the left side of our Gantt chart ready. Now we have to take a look at the right side. And the first thing that we can see is that our time scale is not going to give us a very usable view. If we go ahead and, as an example, do a print screen. So we're going to just see what this is starting to look like. And yeah, all of our information is over here, but we don't see anything to the right. So first thing we want to do is change our paper size to tabloid. That's going to give us a little bit more room. One of the other requirements of this, and you'll see it when you read the assignment, is we're not going to use the legend key. So under the page setup, the legend tab, let's select none. So now it's starting to become a little bit more readable. But as you can see, as we scroll down, we're really spilling over onto a second page, and that's simply because our timeline is so stretched out. So let's take a look at how we can condense our timeline. So now let's go back to our regular view, and you can see these are increments of a week on the top and a day on the bottom. We're going to try a more condensed time scale. So right clicking on that time scale, we can see that our middle tier gives us weeks. So that's all this along the top, and then underneath it is called the bottom tier, and that's in days. So let's change the middle tier first to months, and the bottom tier let's change to weeks, and let's see if that creates a little bit more readable Gantt chart. Alright, so now if we go to a print preview, okay, it's starting to look a little bit better. As you can see, we're down to 4 pages, but We'd still have to tape two pages together side by side in order to get all this information in one view. So let's see if we can play around with this just a little bit more and get it so that nothing spills over onto the right side. It can be several pages down, of course, but we don't want anything spilling over to the right side. So let's once again go back to our Gantt view. Let's move this over here. And let's change our time scale again. Instead of months and weeks, let's try quarters for the middle tier and months for the bottom tier. Now we're going to start to see this really get condensed a little bit. So let's do a file print preview. Okay, so now we really only have two pages, page 1 and page 2, and everything is really consolidated for the reader to see without having to tape two pages together or see things spilling over to the right. So this is really kind of where we want to be when we finalize our Gantt for printing purposes. Okay, so one other thing I want to show you before we proceed to print all of our reports is going to be an option for cleaning this up just a little bit more. Let's go back to our Gantt view in order to do that. Okay, again, we're back in the Gantt view, and a couple of things that I want to do to subjectively make this look a little cleaner. I'm going to go ahead and hide these two columns. And I just highlight them and then click on Hide Column. And then I'm going to narrow some of these columns just to give us a little bit more room on the right. So I'll tighten these up just a little bit. Now you can see here I don't want that column. So we can see here we're moving our right side over a little bit. But we have a duplication. We have the resource name column, and then we have all the bars in our Gantt labeled with the same resource name. So I'm going to eliminate one of them, and I'm going to eliminate the one over here. And you could have one or the other. You don't really need both. Like I said, I'm just trying to make this look a little cleaner. So we're going to right click over here and we're going to select bar styles. And then under bar styles, select the text tab down here in the left. And you can see right now it defaulted to having the resource names there. We're going to select a field that's empty at this time. And we're just going to select text 1, so there's nothing in that field. And then click OK. You can barely see it, it's down here hidden. But hitting OK. Now that eliminates all the resource names that were duplicated in the timeline on the right. So now if we do a file print, you can see we no longer have that. We have an empty column here. We want to move this over, move our chart over a little bit so we can do that. We might even be able to open up our timeline a little bit now since this is so nicely condensed. We got to be careful because it does get close to the edge here. So let's go back and see if we can move our timeline to start a little bit more over in this area here. So back to our Gantt. Move that timeline over. and then again File, Print. Okay, so we're still starting in August, but because this is the whole third quarter, it is including July as well in our view. What we aren't seeing is our resource name, so we have to figure out how to get that back into our view here. So I believe that you have to show the entire column in order to get it in the actual print. So we're just widening the column here to see if we can okay, let's see if that's enough. There's a lot of back and forth here just to get it to look right. Now we have our resource names and our timeline showing what is happening when, and everything looks good at this point, and we will proceed to create the 3 reports that are going to be required as part of final project assignment. And for this exercise, we'll start with the Gantt chart. This is one of our first 3 deliverables. So let's go ahead and create our headers as we have done in the past. Under Page Setup, Header on the left, remember we always used our name there. And in the center, this is our WBS to Gantt example project, and we're just going to bold this a little bit, make it a little bit bigger just for easier reading. Under font style, I'm clicking bold, and I'm going to click 12 point. And then on the right, we're going to put our date. Okay, so those things have populated, and this looks good. It's ready to go. This is one of our deliverables, so we're going to go ahead and print this to PDF. Make sure we save this file first. And we saved it as same name as last time, which is fine. Okay, we're printing it to, remember we want to select the PDF print function, and everything's ready to go. So we print to PDF. Just remember, when this window comes up here, click on Desktop. We're in the SU's remote desktop, so Desktop will get us back to where we can see our folder, and otherwise you're going to save it somewhere else and have trouble finding it later. So this is WBS to Gantt example project, and this will be the file that we'll be uploading to Blackboard. So this is the first of our 3 deliverables. Let's go back to our Gantt and look at how to extract the other 2 reports. Okay, the second of our 3 deliverables is the resource sheet. We did do that in the last video. I just want to review that. In the View tab, there's Resource Sheet, and we have already done this. So let's go ahead and print that. Okay, the labeling looks fine. Print. We're in our correct folder just to verify. And this is the resource sheet for the WBS to Gantt example. Project. Okay, so there's the second of our 3 deliverables. And now we'll go ahead and look at the cost overview and see how to print that. Okay, so we've gone back to our Gantt view and we're going to look deeply into our cost structure. So in order to do that, we're going to click on our report tab up here in the top. And then under cost, on the drop down, let's look at the resource cost overview. This gives us a snapshot of all the costs that will be incurred for both resources and for materials as well. Now, if we look over here on the left, we see that the majority of our labor costs will be project management related, and then our team members will be incurring costs as well. You can get a little bit better view here. Since our project has not started yet, you won't see any cost actually having accrued or any work actually having accrued. Again, the project is not started. But this does give us a summary of our projected total labor costs, which right now is $12,418.33. And again, that's the nice thing about this software. It calculates all this for us. Where I'm seeing a problem is in the material coming in at $9,000. We only had one computer at $1,500 and one furniture at $3,000, which totals $4,500. So somehow we've doubled our cost. And in order to see where that happened, we're going to go back and take a look at where the materials were entered. So in the planning phase, you remember we entered the materials here. The project manager was ordering the materials. And this 1 designates the quantity. So the software will automatically multiply the quantity times the cost that we put in the resource sheet to give us the total. But there must be another instance of material since we've double counted somehow. So if we scroll down in our execution phase, this lead time that we had put in, we can see that it counted again the computer cost and the furniture cost. So we actually have to go ahead and delete those 2 resources here. And to compensate for that here, we would put some indication that this is the computer lead time for that item, and remember, double clicking on the line will open up the task information. This is the furniture lead time. So now our work package tells us what those are because we're going to keep our resource cells empty here. But if we go back now to our resource cost overview, we can see that the material quantity is correct at 4,500. And one more thing, I want to show how this material calculation works is, again, let's return to our Gantt view and let's look at our materials once again. Now let's say instead of one computer, let's say we're going to have 10 computers. So that should be, when we look at our resource cost overview, that should give us 10 times the unit price. And in the furniture, we're going to do, again for simple math, we'll do 10 units of furniture at 3,000 each. So I'm predicting that 15,000 in computer and 30,000 in furniture. If we go back to our resource cost overview, we should see 45,000 for material now. And indeed we do. So just as a final note, remember that the quantities on the material is going to multiply times the unit cost that we put in on the resource sheet. And always make sure that your cost overview, material cost, reflects accurately the quantities of materials that you want on your project. Okay, so we finished that and we can go ahead and print this now. Let's just do a quick save and file, print. Let's see what this looks like in the print preview mode. Okay, it's a resource cost overview, and that's pretty straightforward. As always, I like to have a good label so we know what we're looking at. Your name and WBS to Gantt, example project. Overview, and make that a little bit bolder. And then finally on our right header, we'll put the date. All right, so that put that up there on the top, and this is all ready to go now. This report is the third of 3 deliverables that you'll have in your final project assignment. So let's go ahead and hit print. Let's make sure that we're in our ppm 615 folder, and this is our resource cost overview, WBS to Gantt, example project. All right. So we now have completed the 3 deliverables, the Gantt, the resource sheet, and the resource cost overview. And we can go ahead and upload those to Blackboard. So this concludes video tutorial 7, and obviously there was a lot of material covered here, so please review the video as many times as you need to, and as always, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. But with the skills that we've developed over this series of 7 tutorials, you should now have all the tools necessary to complete your final project assignment. And remember to utilize these videos to follow the form and structure needed for your final project assignment. And again, reach out if you do have any questions. Take care for now.